I'm trying to think of everything that's in age elastic. Creating something, shading, highlighting, all of these are tech enhanced. That's fair game. That changes how our assessments need to look. Everything is going to be online whenever we do assess. So if you are not giving assessments online to your students, you're not preparing them for this test. Okay? There are also cluster sets. What this means is you could have a variety of sources that are pulled together and a series of questions. These questions could be multiple choice, they could be tech enhanced, they could be multiple select, they could be short answer or extended response. We will have short answer on the assessment. On the back side, it has the item type description as well as their points. And the last thing that I want you to focus on is the depth of knowledge chart. What I want you to understand about this assessment is while DOK1 is recall and reproduction, it basically is looking at recreating an ability to complete a skill. It is not recall in the traditional sense. It is not when was the War of 1812 or who was buried in Grant's tomb. Okay? So keep that in mind. What questions do you have about assessment? I will open the floor up. If you have a question, let me know. If I can answer it, I will do my best. If I can't answer it, I'll try and figure out a way to answer it without violating my non-disclosure agreement.
So we need to be putting these types of questions in our assessments so kids are used to
Yes.
type of.
Yes. I will say this. If you are not grounded in the standards and the language of the standards, you're hurting your students. They pull their questions directly from the standards, and in K through 8, they also pull them from clarifications. Those are all open game. And they say that, but sometimes we don't always believe it. What else? So your students need to know what a claim is. They need to know what a counterclaim is. They need to know what an argumentative claim is. They need to know what a compelling question is, what a supporting question is. They need to know what communicating conclusions means, and using evidence, because those are all in the standards.
On the back on here on the chart with the different types of questions, do you have any sample questions for like what each one of those would exactly look like?
Not yet. They are supposed to be putting together a sample test to push out. We begged for them to have it done before May so that social studies teachers could like cry a little bit before coming back to school, because I promise you it's going to happen. It's going to happen, because I did. I texted Mr. Godby and said, holy crap! And it was eye-opening. And you know, we've been saying for years that we needed to ratchet up the rigor of the assessment for people to take it more seriously. Oh, they did and then some. They are getting a sample test out. It's supposed to be out before the field test. The field test right now is saying September, but who knows at this point. But I'm going to show you, I've created a sample assessment to kind of show you what it might look like without giving a question away, if that makes sense. So I want you, when I show you the question, I want you to look at the format rather than the content, if that makes sense. Okay? All right, what other questions you got?
When you said a question could be kindergarten content, but like written for 5th grade or something. So like on the 8th grade assessment, could it not be like my standards, but written in like an 8th grade level?
It's written at an 8th grade level, but assessing 6th grade content.
Okay.
The Lexile level is supposed to be appropriate to the grade level.
But it could be K through 8?
No,
whether it's
no, no, no,
content?
no, no.
Okay, that's what I didn't get.
Okay, 5th grade is only assessing K through 5.
Okay.
8th grade is
Mine be sixth
assessing
grade, 8.
6 through 8,
Okay.
which is nice because
I feared
before it
that.
was who knows what they're gonna throw on there.
Okay.
High school is the high school standards.
You scared me, I thought I was like K through 8, like.
No, that was what it used to be. I mean, it used to be, well, let's just pull one out of the hat and put it down there. What else? What other questions you got?
So if this whole distance learning thing happens and we're all at home, how in the world is it gonna take place then?
The testing, I'm assuming, now that goes back to what Dreamer was saying earlier. If they complete the waiver and, we are not KPREP testing and we are asked to do a formative assessment, my suspicion is we are going to be asked to submit 1 to 2 inquiries, kind of like science does with TCTs, to prove that this is what our students are doing. I'd say that they might also use the field test to see how they're doing. Now, this is my concern. Social studies was gonna get ramrodded in terms of the standards. We're gonna roll out the standards and test them next year. And elementary got the short end of the stick because you all were required to teach the old standards while we had the new standards and yet be assessed over the new standards, which was not fair. My fear is that since we've had 1 year off and possibly another year or half, if you want to say that we're going to have some kind of formative assessment, my fear is when we get back to our new normal of being back together, they're going to be saying, nope, no more planning, you're accountable. There's no more field testing, you're accountable now. That's my fear. So that's why I want us to take it seriously, but understand the limitations we're in. So a way to really ratchet it up is by using inquiry and thinking with that inquiry mindset to frame things to help students think for themselves through using sources. That's kind of the big picture. And in terms of what assessment is going to look like, I don't know, but that's my fear. My fear is that the powers that be are going to say, well, you've had 2 years, why aren't they, that's what my fear is going to be. What other questions?
Is there a place where we can get a list of these technology enhanced questions?
No, I begged for that. Begged, like emailed them directly and said, can you give me any guidance on this? And they said, no. Okay. So my feeling is any tech enhanced question is fair game. And I'm gonna show you where you can find some options for
I
that.
just hate for a kid to miss a question because of this
I-
as opposed to the.
I agree, I'm with you 1,000%. Now, that being said, I know that the high school and middle school is using Edulastic. Has anybody else ever heard of Edulastic? Edulastic is free for teachers. It is an assessment platform. I am not on Edulastic's payroll, so before I go any further, I just want you to know that. I'm not on their payroll at all. This integrates with Google Classroom. Now, the nice thing is you can create your own assessments. You can look at the question banks. I will warn you, there are no questions created yet for Kentucky standards. Of course, they're brand new. But I want to show you what one of our assessments could look like. And some of you guys may need to roll around, or some of you want to roll forward. Okay, so how many of you were proctoring the field test for ELA or math or science last year online? Okay, you kind of saw how that rolled forward in terms of its format, okay? So this is what a student is going to see. And but I want you to take a look content here, but at the way the question is phrased. Which claim about Babylonian society is best supported by the evidence from Hammurabi's code? A little bit different than why is Hammurabi's code significant, which was always a standard test on any social studies test I gave over ancient Mesopotamia. I think we even had one, didn't we have one on there for the common assessment? Come on, what am I doing? So students will ask,
See all your typos.
I know, I told you I am the typo queen. Everybody knows this about me. What just happened? Okay, I don't like this. I officially do not like this thing. Okay, so this is an example of a cluster set. You have 4. This is how they're going to toggle back and forth between these
It's like a source, like a set of sources.
set of sources. And then they have to complete all these different questions on that.
So the kid needs to know to just click on every single box.
So this is an example. I want you to take a look at this one. You have an introduction to the sources.